Disclaimer. The discussions and personal opinions of the guests do not replace professional advice. It's recommended that you seek your own independent professional mental health or legal support to meet your individual needs.
Every time I mention spirit, Rachel goes,
Is it something?
No, I think because it's
love it.
yeah, it's so common for us to say spirit. I think like other people will be like, what spirit? Is it a ghost? Is it like, you know?
Whether I've known it in that term or I know it, but I know it's just something that's either present or really powerful. But I think it's important to pay attention to, which is why it's nice to have this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Life in the Psych Lane podcast. We have Shana and Andrea from the Hierophant Melbourne, and I'm so excited for this conversation. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
So let's start with a little bit about your work, because I think it'd be really interesting for our listeners to understand what you do and how it crosses over with psychology. This is an area of work I absolutely love and have had my own self-interest in it. Do you want to maybe just give us a brief intro about yourself and maybe what you do, how you would title it?
Okay. So I like to call myself a healing facilitator, not a healer or any other terms. And the reason why I call myself a healing facilitator is because I believe the client is the healer themselves. And so I'm there as a conduit for the energy to come through me during the healing session. And I believe that as a healing facilitator, I'm there to create the right conditions and the environment for healing to unfold for the client.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that stuff. And you know what? I might even chime in because the reason why I also really wanted to have this conversation with you both is in psychology, a lot of the time out there in society, they may feel like psychology is very science-based, but it's actually a lot more holistic than what people may think. And especially when I'm working with trauma, complex trauma, we have like a mind, body, soul connection, and we want them all working together with one another. And in some ways, that soul piece is a lot of this spirituality crossover that I'd love to kind of dig into, because it plays a big role into sort of our work, our therapy. Andrew, is it the same for you in terms of, I guess, or similar in terms of title and the work you do?
yeah, pretty similar. So my background is also tarot, numerology. So I can bring that to readings, but the space that I'm loving with Shana right now is facilitating classes and workshops, really for people to connect with their own subtle senses, their psychic senses, and live from that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. So if we broke that down into something simpler, people would come in to see you for like tarot readings, for an energy healing, I think we'll speak about before, other kind of deep dive sessions. But I guess if someone was coming to see you, how would you describe it? Because I'm not necessarily well versed compared to you.
So for energy healing, I would say healing on a soul level.
Yeah.
So even though we are talking about experiences that you have in your daily life, but when you come in for energy healing, it's healing not only those core beliefs that you're looking at in, for example, therapy or in your daily life, but it's also working with your energy field to support that process. So when a client comes in for energy healing, the first thing that I would do was take them through a chakra pendulum reading, and that will give me some insight into how their chakras are working. So when I use the pendulum will show me things like the chakra moving clockwise, anti-clockwise, horizontal, or vertical. And those signs give me indications on
So
how
excited. I love it.
on how these like chakras are working. And of course we want them working optimally, and optimally means it moving clockwise, and the speed tells us how it's working as well. So then from that chakra pendulum reading, I'll move on to the energy healing, and that's when I will become the conduit for the healing energy running through me into the client. So I'm just basically there like a blank canvas and allowing that energy to run through me.
Yeah.
And the energy healing for the client, I will actually only go as fast as their energy field wants me to. So I don't dictate like, what kind of healing they're going to get today or the speed or the type or anything like that. Spirit will actually show me beforehand what they actually need. And oftentimes when I sit down to...
Why are you
Every time I mention spirit, Rachel goes,
Is it something?
No, I think because it's
I
just
love it.
yeah, it's so common for us to say spirit. I think like other people will be like, "What spirit? Is it a ghost? Is it like
Yeah. Or I get excited. I feel like I get excited because I think I know I'm like, why are you laughing? Because we've all had conversations, and I was saying to you previously how I would probably say either term it as a deeper knowing or intuition, but then now that you say spirit, like it all kind of makes sense. So in some ways, whether I've known it in that term or I know it, but I know it's just something that's either present or really powerful. But I think it's important to pay attention to, which is why it's nice to have this kind of conversation.
yeah.
yeah.
So before the client comes in, I will sit down and have a little conversation with my spirit guide, and they'll come through and show me what the client needs in that session. And sometimes that doesn't line up with what the client wants to work on in that session, but other times it will line up. So it really depends on what the client wants in that session and what spirit brings to me. But most of the time it lines up and there's a complementary approach to the session. Yeah.
We've spoken about how sometimes everyone has really unique experiences, or you've had times where someone has said you might have almost disappeared to them in a session.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Is that
With
right?
Andrea. Yeah. So that's actually during the healing session itself. So after the pendulum reading, I go into the energy healing, and I usually ask the client to just relax. And sometimes they may feel like warmth, they may feel tingling sensations. And if they drift off to sleep, it's completely normal. It might be because of, a high level of relaxation, or it's because if they go to sleep, it will be easier for the energy to flow through them, less resistance. Yeah. And so some of the experiences I've had is with Andrea. I gave her a healing once, and she's like, I just couldn't feel where you were. I thought you were at my feet, but then you were actually at my head. And sometimes like I've had people tell me that, I'll be at their head, but they can feel someone at their feet at the same time. So it sounds strange, but it's also not strange at the same time, because with the energy field, it's connected. And if you're feeling a sensation in one part of the energy field, it makes sense that you will feel it in the other part as well.
I know when we previously spoke, you said sometimes the healing effects happen like days after or weeks after, and like there's no kind of, sometimes the measure of an outcome is a little arbitrary, right? Because it's a really unique experience. What would happen to someone usually, or I guess a couple days, a week after an energy healing reading?
So I think it's consistent across all clients that they feel really relaxed and good right after the healing. And that can last up to 3 days. And then the effects can come on like immediately after, to a week to months, because that was your experience with a healing. You've experienced it months after.
Yeah. It's just unfolding, the effects of it. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's great.
Would you also share about your work as well?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I guess currently what I would do is I offer like a tarot consultation, and what that entails is I'll go through somebody's tarot numerology and identify life path potential, and also what's important is challenges or tests that they've come into this incarnation to experience on a personal level and soul level. And then I'll go into the year as well, and just identifying any blocks or challenges that can be worked through.
Yeah.
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 And
I've had a few in my time and connected. I think in this work, I've known people who do this work as well, and I'm all about learning and knowledge, and I tend to throw myself into kind of
Mm.
learning, and I remain interested in a lot of things. And I know when I've had tarot readings as well, really interesting, just kind of, even if it's mapping out, let's say 12 months, or if there's any
yeah,
blocks, but sometimes they can be a little bit more specific, sometimes they're a little bit less specific, but it does help you kind of, I think it kind of helps you guide
absolutely.
where things go, or if you want to correct a path, that can be helpful. Is
Absolutely.
that how you would work with someone? Yeah.
100%. So, say somebody comes in and they are born under the number 4. So, in tarot numerology, that's the emperor.
Yep.
So, somebody who manages a company, directs a bunch of people, an authority figure. But then their year, maybe they're in a number 12 year, which
Mm.
in tarot is the hanged man, which is about stagnation. So, they might come in and go, I don't know what I'm doing. Nothing is going right. I've got all these deadlines to meet and projects. It's like, well, this is definitely not the year to do it. You need to actually write it out. And just that understanding is super helpful, because people will go, okay, so this is not the time for this forward momentum. I need to work in a different way. And then next year, in a few months, when it passes, that's when the momentum kicks off again. So it's really handy to know where you are in time and I guess, the forces that are at play for
Yeah.
you. And you read everything in conjunction with each other too. So, yeah.
Actually, this is kind of probably a nice little segue, because part of our conversation, is sometimes we've all leaned into like how the psychology piece or the mental health piece intersects with this spirit or soul level. I speak to many people about your work and maybe what you do, but it's still very much embedded in a science space as well. Yes, then you have very unique talents, I would say, in the psychic space, which I'd love to dig into next. But how would you say it crosses over with psychology, mental health, where you learned it from, how you learned it from? Like, is there any comment that you could say about that?
Okay.
It's a complicated question.
Super
Yeah.
complicated.
It is.
I
Yeah.
think,
Because it's a very stigmatized kind of
Mm.
thing
yeah,
out there in society too.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But it's changing. Like, I think in
Yeah.
the last 30 years, it's completely changed.
Yeah.
30 years ago, you couldn't talk about this at all.
Yeah.
And now everybody's so much more open to it and interested.
Yeah.
So I think the stigma's definitely passing. Yeah.
How did you, I guess both of you, how did you learn the skills, the profession, the craft? Like, how did you kind of do that? And then come to where you're at now?
Complicated as well.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm going to dig into the fun stuff.
So I guess how it started,
Yeah.
maybe for me. So I didn't know until, in the last few years, I guess, that on some level, psychic mediumship runs in my family.
Yeah.
So I remember being very small and my grandmother talking to me about how she saw spirit, and I was obsessed. So that's pretty much where it came from for me, really.
Yeah.
And then just developed from there. I think when my grandfather passed away when I was about 9 or 10, and he would, I don't know how to say this. We would see him and sense him everywhere. A huge family. We would smell his smell
Yeah.
antiseptic from the hospital. Anyway, that fueled me into really, well, where is he now?
Yeah.
What's he doing? Where is he? And so I kind of slipped into psychic mediumship that way, probably from very young, being very open to it.
Yeah.
And then developing
Yeah.
it later. Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting, because like in psychology, if I'm working with a client, let's say like complex trauma-based work, or it happened historically younger, senses play a big part in intrusive distressing memories, in how they recall something. And yeah, we always say olfactory or sounds and things that they can recall. And they'll recall a memory when they're 3, 4, 5, really, really young, like it happened this morning. That's part of the intrusive
Yes.
distressing memories, and then how the brain and the memory networks as well. But it also overlaps with senses, which is where it's like, it's really interesting because I've also had then people have with trauma the unique experiences, like you're saying, where like, you know, colors or the room would change, and there's nothing that's out of the ordinary happening in a situation. It's sort of a random occurrence, and it's not, for our psychology people out there, it's not considered like a hallucination or a delusion. And believe me, I dig into looking into all those things.
Yeah.
But there is a plane there of like, okay, they've got really unique individual experiences, whether it's a spiritual experience. And hearing you say, like, you know, you could sense your grandfather's presence. And I remember you telling me that previously, where your whole family
Whole
would
family.
ride. You
Yeah.
could, yeah.
20, 30 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was like
Yeah.
visceral evidence.
Yeah.
And strangers would also see him,
Strangers would.
who didn't know he passed away.
Oh,
So-
they would see him.
Yeah. So he was super naughty. Yeah.
Can you give us examples of the super naughty or
Super naughty.
yeah, or like what would happen?
Oh, okay. So
I think people would be interested. This is a fun question. I'm interested in this.
Oh, we've got lots of those stories.
Yeah.
So one example would be, so my grandfather was known to hang out when he passed with either his brother-in-law or his best friend. So my uncle, so his son, was going to work, and a workmate said, "Oh, I saw you driving in today. Who were the two older gentlemen in the back of your car?" And he'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Oh, like just a random colleague and a stranger would say that.
Describe them. So that was a really common occurrence. That would happen a lot. Yeah.
Actually, that rings a bell because I remember saying to you last time, I saw this thing on the social media where someone was just filming them, the father and the child, and they were filming them on a roller coaster, and then it would glitch with nobody. They were just them on the roller coaster, nobody, and then it would glitch in while they were filming, and then there was just somebody sitting in the very back row. And I've sort of, again, I remain interested in things, whether I understand it or not. And then they were saying how demons, or sort of the negative kind of energy, like to hang out in theme parks.
Yeah.
And they can kind of wait for, because it's a riskier environment, they can wait for maybe some of those things to happen. Not sure how true or not true or not true that is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
Well, I've had a similar experience with Andrea. A similar experience to Andrea? I'm overthinking my words now. I've had a similar experience. Yeah. I've had a similar I've had a similar experience with my grandfather. So my grandfather presented differently. So we found out recently through a conversation that our grandfathers actually passed around the same time.
oh,
Yeah.
Passed around the same time. And when my grandfather passed, that week, we had like thousands of moths come in. Thousands of moths, like I'm not even joking, come into my apartment, and they lined the walls, and it was so many to the point where they would fly into the light and die from the heat. I know this is getting a bit morbid, but like,
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm that's not my reaction. It's like, oh, insects and me are not amazing. But, you know.
yeah, it would line the top ceiling.
Yeah.
And I would ask my mom, I'll be like, what's that? What's going on? And my mom would just say, oh, it's your grandfather. And my reaction wasn't like Andrea's, like, oh, where's that? My reaction was like, oh, okay. You know, and I felt comforted that he was still around.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting how our responses are different, even though we've had similar experiences with experiencing, you know, my...
Like you just thought, okay, that's my grandfather. That.
And I believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh yeah, and I felt like this sense of comfort immediately. I was just like, okay, he's here to visit us. Yeah. And then after maybe a few days, they were all gone.
And then we're all gone.
Yeah.
Like you didn't. I know this sounds really strange, but I would think like a average person out there might want to get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. But we just left them there, and they just naturally left.
Really?
And we lived on the 19th floor. So it's not
So
common
it's not
that
like you opened them or like opening all the windows.
yeah, they flew in like slowly, and they just accumulated. And my mom was like, don't touch them. And we didn't touch them, and they just flew away after a few days. Yeah. It's like, how do you explain that? I don't know how to explain that. I don't know how it works, but
Yeah.
I was just like, no, I believe it was my grandfather just telling us hey, you know, I'm still here, and just to say goodbye.
Oh, so there's a lot of comfort and love and just like a
Yeah.
nice kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It wasn't scary or
Yeah.
anything. Not
Yeah.
naughty.
Not
Not
naughty.
Not
naughty.
naughty.
Yeah.
And look, in this work, I would even say we work with people in large numbers and intimate spaces. And even for myself, I've had some really unique experiences with clients that also have psychic mediumship or experiences in here that when we're doing like a meditation or a mindfulness grounding exercise, something might come into the session. And they do explain it to me because we do create a level of safety. And I'm a clinical psychologist who will talk and dig into that stuff as well and how that's relevant to them. But also I remember when my beloved previous dog passed,
Aw.
just when you not when you ask for signs or you know that they're there or you're like, I know you're with me, and get a feeling that they're with you, but then sometimes you'll get like a really random sign of something just happening in that moment. Like that's unique. And I think I was sitting at home one time. It was either a fly or a moth or something just flew right by my face the moment I was just thinking and sitting contemplating about it. And I had said maybe a second before that, I know you're with me. And then something just flew by my face. And, like you just
Oh,
kind of pay attention to those
yes,
bits of information.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I always say, I know there's a lot of the stigma out there about the work and about the
Yeah.
craft, but if there's any kind of strength-based approach and something that works for you, why question it? Like if I wanted to hold that idea, okay, my dog that's passed, who I love so much, is with me. He's with me, and it gives me strength. It gives me kind of a level of
Peace.
healing.
Yes,
I would 100% support that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Which brings me to, I know when we had our conversations, coming into this work sometimes can be a little bit challenging. And, iconically back in the day, I think we spoke about previously how sometimes they would consider this work, the witches. And then in society, you would kind of have to hide away, or you wouldn't normally have to openly speak about what you do. How was that journey for you? How do you feel about it now?
Oh, it's been a long journey for me.
Yeah.
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 So it started 30 years ago for me. The psychic mediumship was, infiltrating a little before that.
Yeah.
I got really interested in tarot when I was in my early 20s, and there was no one to talk to about any of it. There was nothing. There was no internet. There was nothing like that back then. So very, very isolating, and then also very ostracized if you brought it up. Like, no, what are you doing? Don't touch that. Don't look into that. But I was just, nope. This is definitely.
Yeah.
I'm interested in delving into this and figuring out some of these mysteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little.
How do you do that? Like, how was that journey for you to learn to tap in? Because I feel like there's a level of presence and understanding and knowing, intuition, all those kind of areas that I think are really important in just being human. But how do you kind of get better at it?
Train.
Yeah.
Yeah, read, train, look up things that you're interested in. Yeah.
I feel like for me, a very important aspect to this work is self-connection. So yeah, being aware of what's going on within and understanding that they're all linked with each other. Because if we're not connected to the self and we're not connected to how we feel, then it's hard to connect with what we want or the signs that we're getting from the environment. Like it's all interlinked. And I feel like it starts with connecting in with the self. Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Let's go with one that you'll hear commonly out there, whether you have an answer for it or not. But even I hear a lot of the time when people say, oh, the universe is showing you something, or the universe is giving you a message and, you have to listen to it. And if you don't listen to it, it'll keep showing up the same kind of message, all those things. Do you have a different kind of explanation to how people say those things?
In what
I
context?
think for both of us, or I'll speak for myself, is I like to be a bit more specific than that. So
Yeah.
it's not the universe. Yeah, the universe is this incredible tapestry that we're all interconnected into, the web of life, the universe. But it's not just from the universe. You're receiving information, you're listening to your own soul, firstly, and then there are guides around you as well. So, different guides and your soul give you different information. So, yes, but I do believe that signs and symbols, they'll keep hitting you over the head until you get it. Definitely
Yeah.
had that experience.
But if you're not aware or if you don't know how to identify them, then they don't mean anything to you.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
Correct. That brings me back to like the absolute iconic thing I would say that even happens in psychology, mental health, right? Like most people come in for a session to see us because their own mental health gives them so much confusion and they don't understand. They're not sure what's going on. And honestly, it's like, am I crazy? Am I this? Am I that? It's like, no, but we have a really reasonable explanation and way to work with it so that you can better understand yourself. And yes, a lot of it does come down to self-awareness so that you can actually be present and grounded and self-aware to then do something different or learn from it, right? So we kind of have a really similar crossover or way we work with people as well or work with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say so too.
Do you tend to get the mental health issues? Because, when I say mind, body, soul, we know that trauma is generally stored in the body. Body is your brain, parts of your body as well. Does that tend to show up in your work as well, whether it's an energy healing or the readings that you do or a psychic kind of reading? Do those mental health trauma aspects or I guess different ones show up in your work to some degree?
I think we'll have to be more specific.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a very broad question.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to energy healing, though, I do see clients who, of course, struggle with stress.
Yeah.
They're going through a relationship breakdown, for example, or they are curious about this work but don't know where to start. But all of those things have something in common, and they're all wanting to come in for healing.
I think you said to me before, if trauma, is happening in an energy healing reading, you can move through and learn to work with that energy, or you can kind of work in the way that you do that it helps someone heal, right?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So, with therapy, there's of course very like many different types of therapy, and a common one is talk therapy, like CBT.
Yeah.
And I find that, for some people, it might not work for them to talk as much. And so being on the healing table is a very different experience from being in this setting of like talking to each other, because they might not feel safe to talk about it, or they don't have the words to describe their experience. And doing it on the healing table through energy healing is more accessible for them. And I find that when they go through that process, they start to have feelings or thoughts come up organically rather than trying to dig for them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So sort of like you said, guided and paced by then.
Yeah.
That readiness to be open to that.
Yeah. And I can resonate with that strongly because I am very proactive when it comes to my mental health. It's like, I'm feeling this thing. It doesn't feel right. I want to find out what's wrong. And then I talk to my therapist about it. And then I will take action, behavior change or this coping strategy, and then like test things out. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people prefer a different way of doing that. And I think for me, I run the risk of like, everything is a problem to fix.
Yeah.
But then on the healing table, it's like, no, we're just going to sit in presence and stillness and then see what comes up organically. And then instead of like, I need to fix this problem, it's about, well, let's just observe and see how that behavior changes organically after having that awareness.
Yeah. That's really nice. I love that.
Yeah. And this is part, like, it's very intertwined with my own experience, and I'm learning through doing this work as well.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's so important because it's true. Like, we can fall into that space as psychologists with a client, and we always have to, in our supervision sessions, in our learning, it's like, who's guiding and controlling the pace, the narrative, that kind of thing. And often early career issues can come from, a psychologist needing to push agendas or, have work on things in a manualized way. It's just the general way you're kind of trained, or, that you think, okay, if I have an anxiety disorder, this is what I would do. And learning to kind of just work and connect with someone in a nervous system regulation way, or a relational connection way, and actually just sitting with them.
Yeah.
Then building that psychology toolkit, that comes with experience, that comes with the therapeutic relationship. But I think the outcomes and the work you do with someone more valuable then.
But I feel like they're complementary though, because I've done, talk therapy for 10 years. And then I found that, okay, it's time for me to move on. And that was when I went into like somatic work. Yeah, with art therapy. Yeah.
Nervous system regulation.
Yeah. And I've learned things about myself that I wouldn't have learned when I went through talk therapy, because it was just buried so deep down that I couldn't access them through talking, because I'm intellectual and talking is one of my coping strategies. And so I evade and I avoid the things that, I need to look at to understand myself better through intellectualizing.
Which is then we would say mind, body, soul connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you need to be able to have them working together. Oh, I love this kind of chat. But also, so that, we say trauma is stored in the body. You need to be able to be aware of what's happening in your body, in your nervous system, to regulate it. But all planes, you want them talking to each other. Because often, fancy psych word, but it's disembodiment when they're no longer talking to each other and they both sort of want to act independently from each other. So you could use your mind as an intellect to cope, but the whole body is in a depressed space and not feeling really great. And so you need them to line up. But also the spiritual space or the soul space comes in, because that centers around like the intuition, deeper knowing, your belief system. So then you want them all to kind of line up in a nicer way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can I ask some fun questions?
Yeah. This is Andrea's domain.
Well, you know what? How would you describe, you say psychic mediumship, how would you describe that and almost normalize it for our listeners out there? Because, people might think, oh, psychic and then medium. I mean, just maybe the people that they see on TV, or they have what were you saying? Spirit guides come through, or people come through. How would you describe psychic mediumship?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I know, the hard.
So psychic is utilizing the subtle senses beyond our regular senses, and I mean that would be, kind of acting as not a buffer, as a way to interpret and process your surroundings and I don't want to say other planes, but it is like other planes beyond what we can see and touch, I suppose. So that psychic mediumship is sensing into spirit, which are just regular people who are not residing on the plane that we are now. Sounds a bit woo, but it's normal life.
I mean, it sounds woo-woo, but you have a unique skill and talent of like being able to understand that.
It's just sensing into it. Like, it's like putting your focus, just shifting it a little sideways is how I would experience it. Or, it's just sensing into another space.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we go into like stories or examples of like maybe the strangest thing that you've noticed or seen, or confronting times, or those ironic connections of coming through, and like the amazing kind of story that what?
Oh god.
Okay, non-scary.
No, let's do scary first. Let's do scary first.
Scary. Oh, okay. Scary person and non-scary. I have one to go. Yeah.
Go for it.
But it's scary though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was scary for me. Yeah, I'm happy to share, definitely. Yeah. So this was when I was...
I have a scary one ready to go.
I'm like, scary first.
Yeah.
Really scary.
So I think
You
I
can
was.
see how I dig in, right?
Yeah. Love it. So I think I was like 16 at the time. And I remember I had weeks of just feeling scared. I just knew that something was around, but I wasn't tapped into my psychic mediumship at the time. So I didn't know what was happening, and I was afraid of the dark and things like that. And I remember I was sleeping outside my room on the couch for like 2 weeks
And
because,
you wouldn't sleep in your room.
yeah, I wouldn't sleep in my room because I felt like something was in there.
Mhm.
And so
This is
Which
in
is really-
Singapore,
this
right?
was in
In
Singapore.
I mean, it's so strange because, it always makes me think, I've got that, if I had my psychologist hat on,
Mm,
how a professional would interpret that, how they would try to understand that, make sense of that. Do you know,
Yeah.
and I say I always remain interested because I want to be able to hold that, but I also want to understand what the actual experience is.
yeah,
And there is this explanation as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was sleeping on the couch for 2 weeks outside my room. And then one day I was like, no, I want to be brave and I want to be strong enough. So I'm going to sleep in my room tonight. So I went into my room, and at the time I had 2 dogs. I was still living with my family, and I was on the second level. I was preparing for bed, and I was like, okay, I'm going to switch on like a little lamp. So it's not completely dark, and I'm gonna switch music on as well so I don't hear anything. And my 2 dogs were in the room with me, but they refused to come onto the bed, which they don't usually do. They
But
usually
they would
sleep.
always sleep with you, like Duna dogs, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that night they were sleeping on the ground, like near the door. They wouldn't come near me.
Because
Yeah, they wouldn't come near
I've
me.
seen my dogs also, like I've seen when lights are off or house, and I've seen them get up and like they're very protective instincts, right?
Yeah.
I've seen them just sort of know something's there, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Wow.
So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and go to bed. And so I fell asleep, and I had a dream. And I dreamt that I was on the bed in my room, and I said, stop touching me. Stop touching me. And then it just kept going, and it woke
And you
me
said
up
that out, or you said that in your dream?
in my dream. And then it woke me up because the touching wouldn't stop, touching on my head. And my eyes opened, and I felt a hand with really long fingernails just stroking my
Like
head,
this, just.
like stroking downwards like that.
I'm like, I have long fingernails.
You'll be scared tonight.
I always try to figure it out myself.
Yeah, it's like just stroking downwards on my head, and I just burst into tears because I realized she was standing beside me. My head was tilted to the left, and
So
she
you're
just
lying on
went.
your bed.
I was lying on my bed, and but my head was tilted to the left. Yeah, and so she was standing behind me, and she just stroked my hair. And I saw her. I
You
saw
saw
her.
her?
Yeah, I saw her. And I recalled that before she did that, I actually saw her a few months before. I just blocked it out. I saw her downstairs, and I saw that she was coming close to me, and I was like, I'm just seeing things.
Yeah.
I just ignored it.
Which you have the capacity to do, because I've definitely heard that with a lot of my clients too, with this level of psychic mediumship of like go to the light, or when you want to steer them away, you just kind of steer them in another direction.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And so when I felt the fingernails, I just sprung out of bed and I ran out the room, and I quickly knocked on my dad's door, and I started crying. I was like, something touched me, touched my hair, it's really scary. And then for the next, I think, a month or so, I slept in my dad's room.
Yeah.
I just refused to go into my own bedroom.
Yeah.
And when I came out of the room, my brother came out of his room as well because he sleeps late. And he walked into my room, and he was freezing.
Breathing.
Yeah, like he had goosebumps, his hair stood up, and he just had chills. And he was like, something's not right, and he just left. And he's not like he wasn't into psychic mediumship or anything, but he just felt like, yeah. And after that experience, we actually sat down together as a family, and he would tell me that he used to have these dreams of his room being an altar, like a praying room.
gosh.
And there was one night when he actually woke up and his doona and his pillows were all on the ground. It was just him on the bed. Like it was just
That's confusing.
yeah, like it was just weird. And he was like,
No.
that was really strange. Like he didn't know why that
And he would
happened.
just be like, random things are happening.
Yeah, he just dreamt that his room was an altar room. And when he woke up, everything was off the bed except him.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was scary. And then we moved out after that because I was like, I can't live here.
Well, that's why my question becomes like, how do you resolve that? How do you explain that? Is that like the house, or is that because you have an ability to see, you know? And also, I had so many questions about, normally I would ask with a client whether, you know, when you see the person, you feel the fingernails, like, can you see the details? Can you see the face? Are
Yeah.
they a shadow?
Yeah.
How much of it? Because I know it's really different for different people, but yeah.
Yeah.
Any of
For
those.
me, that was a lot of detail when I first saw her downstairs. So
Yeah.
I actually saw her sitting down in the corner of the living room. And when I turned my attention to her, she actually, it sounds weird when I say it out loud, but she actually floated to me.
Yeah.
She went
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
and then she stood right in front of
So
me.
face to face almost.
Yeah, really, really close. And she had quite long hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I was just shocked that she could move so fast.
Yeah.
And I just looked away and I just ignored it. And then the second time that happened was when she touched my hair. So I felt like that was like a warning almost, you know, it's like you're in my space and I don't like you here. And I don't know if it was her room or the house. She was bounded to like the house.
You're right. And I say that because I've had really interesting clients of, like, you know, some of the more demonic experiences and some of those horror movies out there. Yes, they are based on real life lived experiences if you're looking at, you know, video footage and those kind of things. And some of those are really scary ones.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're really scary of they're giving you a message or they're there. It becomes a really unsafe space, right? Like
Very. And at that time, I didn't have the tools that I have now, you know, after training with psychic mediumship. And so the only thing I could turn to was the temple. So I went to the temple and I went to see the monk and I told the monk that this was happening and he chanted a few things and he
Yeah.
gave me this like band and he
Yeah.
was like, just put it under your pillow.
Uh-huh.
And I did. But I was still scared, you know, it
Oh,
didn't
I mean,
really
that's
take
good.
away the
Uh-huh.
fear. Yeah, it didn't really take away the fear. So I was just like, well, I just need to leave this place.
Yeah. And your family, I mean, it sounds like your family kind of understood if you had a
Yeah, they
family and,
understood.
like,
They understood.
you know, like 'cause if
Yeah.
your brother's having some unique experiences and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And that wasn't the first time that it has happened. You know, it happened in previous houses as well. So, I mean, in Singapore, it makes
Singapore
sense.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Can I? Okay, so hypothetical. Let's say that was me or someone who's not skilled in this psychic mediumship, and like your brother, right? Let's say he wasn't into that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Would my experiences then, let's say hypothetically, be more like his, where those things happen, or she's there, or she's doing all these things, but I would consider it strange and weird, where it's like I'm having weird dreams, but I'm waking up and like I didn't do it, but all my pillows and doona and everything's on the floor. It would just, I would probably consider it more weird, but I wouldn't pick all those other things up.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
think
That's really
so.
interesting. Yeah.
I think it would just be like, oh, it just so happened I kicked all the pillows off the ground,
Yeah.
onto the ground,
Yeah.
or, you know, I was just imagining things.
Yeah. Or and then you just in out kind of.
Yeah,
think
just
about it.
forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's my scary story.
I'm looking at you. Do you have a scary?
I don't know if I want to. I have to cut some of mine.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No. I do have some scary stories. It just also reminded me of, you know, we can have all these scary things happening, but now that we've trained, we kind of have the tools to
Yes.
deal with it. And
Yeah.
also you kind of have like a spiritual soul strength where the fear, we're not fearful of it. So
Yeah.
stuff like that just will not happen to us anymore.
Yeah.
It just will, it stops once you have trained energetically and know your own soul's power and strength. They just won't want to have a bar of you. But you know, when I was 17, like I was just haunted all the time because I was just open to everything. You know, you're drinking and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
young.
exactly.
I mean, I could relate that to
Yes.
psychology now, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I mean, I love being a psychologist, but human behavior, knowing humans, knowing people,
Yeah.
intuitively, nervous system connections, whatnot, it's become so much easier. You
Yeah.
know, like you can read it so much quicker. It's all right there in front of you. But I think that's probably what you're saying about where you're at as well now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. When
Yeah.
you're young, you just think everything's fun. Like,
Yeah.
I was living somewhere where my friends would just constantly see ghosts and like not even tell me. It happens so often. I had some friends get very, very frightened and phone me, and I'd have to come home
Yeah.
from work. But one place I was in, I was like 17, 18, all happened around that time.
Yeah.
I would watch like our stereo back in the day. Like you'd see the knobs being
You would
turned.
know. Like that,
100%.
yeah.
100%. You'd see things flying around the
Yeah.
room. Like I had a lot of stuff like that happen as
Yeah,
well.
I've had clients tell me that too, like the sort of demonic ones, but lights flashing or the cold also
Oh,
fly.
yeah.
Also, if they're, because some of my experiences I've worked with people on, it's like they're in possession of. So then if they're in, like, let's say a father body and they might just sit up, but no, it's not the dad. It's like they've got red eyes or something, strange
Ooh.
things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really scary ones that are Hollywood movies are kind
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's true in terms of
It actually, it does happen.
Yeah.
It actually does happen. I had something maybe a few years ago. I was sleeping. Yeah, this is not long ago actually.
yeah.
And I heard walking up my stairs. I'm in a townhouse, and I was like, "Oh, you know, that's my son." And I was like, "No, no, no." You know, half asleep. You're like, "No,
Yeah.
no, that's not my son." And it's like, "Oh, it must be my husband." I'm like, "No, no, husband's at work. Who's walking around in my house?" And I could hear them come up the stairs and into my room, and I'm sleeping, and they put their hand on my head, on the right side of my head. And I was like, "Oh, it's my husband." And I'm like, wait, he doesn't do this. Like, this is weird. And I opened my eyes and I could see the whole hooded figure with these huge hands, and he'd had his hand on my head. And so, you know, we're trained now with our
Yeah.
energy. So I've got this thing where
You
you
kind of
yell at
protect
it,
your own energy, right?
100%,
Yeah.
and you kind of explode your energy.
Yeah.
And then whatever that is just, you know,
Yeah.
scurries away. But I had a migraine that day, and my right eye just would not stop watering the whole day. I messaged one of my
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really weird.
So I
And I
mean,
didn't
obviously it's
appreciate
all
that.
around because you're so intuitive and like you're sort of skilled in that plan, but you know what to do with it. But obviously, yes, it's around in our world.
Yeah, it is. And you
Mm.
know, it does happen. I don't think it's as common as people, you know, people tend to default to the fear.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's
Correct.
so much beautiful, you know, things in this space.
Yeah.
And when you default to that, the scary fear-based experiences kind of just dissipate. They just, you don't resonate with that anymore.
Yeah, correct.
Um,
And the other look, I said scary first, mostly because I know that that's what like listeners and people
Yeah.
ask questions and they want to know.
yeah.
But we all have those beautiful
Oh, yeah.
experiences, you know. And I'm happy to share. I think back when my dog passed away, I had to cancel that week of. It was just really hard losing him in the way I lost him because a bit sudden, and I cancelled my week of work with clients. They needed to make sure that I'm okay to do the work. And then when I was able to come back with clients, I obviously rescheduled them. And one of them has the psychic mediumship and has been training for some time. And when I came into the session, I always am quite transparent with my clients. I'll share with them what had happened and apologize for cancelling and having to reschedule. And then she said, "No, don't tell me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, and then started crying because we both have a real big love for animals. And she's like, "I don't normally carry tissues in my pocket, but I've got tissues in my pocket." because before I came, I got a message saying she's going to tell you today, and she knew that I was going to say my dog passed away. And she then said to me, he's no longer in pain. He's watching over you, and he'll wait, the rainbow boots, but he's waiting for you. He's happy. He's not in pain. And the moment she told me that, I just kind of hit me in the heart. And normally, we create that safety for them, but it was the one thing that will get me, and just really heartfelt. And I also said to her, thank you for doing that, and thank you for giving me that, because it was such a peaceful, compassionate thing I really needed.
Absolutely.
Just to know that he was okay,
of
just to know
course.
that he was fine. And I still consider it a gift that she shared that with me. And I know she didn't even have to, because I normally say for clients, you don't have to give me anything. And, it's just the way that we work. But it's something I still cherish now.
100%. Like mediumship with, with animals and with loved ones, it's all about healing. That's pretty much all it's about.
Yeah.
The people here who are grieving, they may have some things that they're having to process. But then you've got spirit also on the other side who are wanting to help with that. So when you have evidence come through, it's healing. Like that story for you, you'll have that for the rest of your life. Because
And I tell people, because I'm it's so important for me, of how meaningful it was.
Of course. So that's what's beautiful about the work, and that's why we do it. It's not for the scary stuff.
Yeah.
Super fun. That's fun. Exploring the scary.
Super fun.
Yeah.
But, then you get to a space where it's everyday life. You live from that space of being aware of the conscious voice and the soul voice, and learning to balance both of them in your day-to-day life.
That's amazing. So then, if we not do the non-scary, do you have some of those beautiful kind of ones? I know you said the moth with your grandfather and he was there, at least he was there. But do you also then have, and whether it's you or client kind of experiences, but do you have some of those really nice healing?
So many.
Yeah.
I think one that comes to mind is a woman who lost her husband very young. Well, he wouldn't even have been 50. And, when you have a mediumship reading, people tend to think, okay, I need to give names, dates, like a shopping list. And sometimes spirit can't communicate like that. They don't even care about that.
Yeah.
So this,
they don't need to kind of prove the skeptic.
No,
Yeah.
And then, so this husband was so beautiful. He came through and he was describing a relationship in so much detail. He was making me feel it. And because I know I haven't felt that, I knew it was coming from him. He described it so beautifully. And that's what she wanted. She wanted the memories. She didn't want to know I passed out, although we had all that as well. She wanted to know that he still held all the memories, and he just kept feeding them to her. And she's like, yes, that's right. He's organized his wardrobe like this, lie on the bed like this, looking at him. Like all of those little memories is so healing. And then someone can go, okay, I'm okay. And it shifts the grief.
Yeah.
It changes the grieving process.
Yeah.
So that's really beautiful. We've got tons of stories of that.
Yeah. And you can feel it straight away when you've connected in, and when you see the person receiving the reading connected, you can see it and you can feel it, and then you can see it in their eyes, and then they start to tear up, and it's okay, the connection is there, and the person's here for the person receiving the reading.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's why I
Yeah.
also love it. And as I said, I've worked with people in the psychology sphere, but knowing it crosses in this area at work too. But even my own experiences, I think it's so important. It's so important in our world to be able to understand it, talk about it. I don't know. I like to dig in. Yeah. In terms of, I guess, challenges and misconceptions, I know we've spoken a bit about the stigmas out there. Do you get many of the skeptics?
I haven't.
Yeah.
haven't
I know they're
for
unlikely
ages.
going to be booked in if they already are that skeptical.
Yeah.
But
I'm with a skeptic.
pardon?
You're a skeptic?
No, I'm with a skeptic.
Ah, yeah. No.
I'm with a skeptic.
Oh, yeah.
I say that because I mean, yes, I've had many people just say to me, "Oh, but they can Google that, or they can find that information somewhere, and or you're out there on
Oh,
social media." You know, just that comment.
yeah, like the research stuff on
Yeah,
social media and all that.
Yeah.
Mm,
But I mean, even as we speak about it, it's so much more than that.
Then that.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if someone's giving you stuff you can Google, then they're not working hard enough.
Yeah. And that's why, when it comes to mediumship, it's all about the evidence, and yeah, we talk about the evidence. And when you were describing that example with the woman, is that you brought in specific memories, and those specific memories you can't Google.
No, exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
No.
correct,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's that really unique thing that obviously, if you ever I watch some of their reality shows, but yes, you can see them in their work and all these bits of information that you couldn't know.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and again, it comes back to if it works for the people and it works for the person, why question it? That's just
Exactly.
where I always come back to.
Mm.
If it works for people and it gives them hope, it gives them healing, and there's a benefit, I would
Yeah.
choose that over any other kind of negative or stigmatized kind of.
Absolutely.
And I also feel like, I feel like we're not here to convince the skeptics that our work is valid. Like we're doing it because we love it and this is
Yeah.
our life. Like we're not out here saying, no, listen to us. This is real. Like I'm not trying to prove myself to anybody. Like, yeah, if you're open to it and you're curious and you want to learn more about it, great. Like I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then that's fine too.
Yeah.
Like you do you and I'll do me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a level of awareness and grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we don't have to be mean to each other just because we don't believe in what the other person is doing or not. Unless you're hurting people, then that's different.
Yeah.
If you go to a psychic
like that.
medium, yeah, and then
I have heard some.
yeah,
I think we've spoken about how I've heard some horrible stories of, the witchcraft kind of side, but more
Yeah.
for the money side and
yeah,
getting people to pay large amounts for some kind of, what was it? You said chant or routine.
yeah, and that's not good.
No, it's not.
No, that's awful.
And also
Yeah,
it puts your profession into kind of.
of course.
Cute.
Yeah,
It's like you're getting scammed. And I mean, that's the hard part, I would say, for you, because in at least psychology, we're so stringent on our regulatory bodies to practice legally, ethically, just almost too much. Because it teaches us as professionals to question almost everything we do for the client's best interest and that kind of thing. But there is some kind of safeguard, I guess, for the community, whereas in that profession and this skill set, it's quite individualized, like depending on the person.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think psychology and psychiatry has been through long history as well. Like, you've come from lobotomies
We're not
and,
getting it right. We didn't get it
yeah,
right.
yeah. And I feel like, maybe that will happen for psychic mediumship, not to that extent, but of course,
More
some,
trusted in the
yeah,
eventually.
yeah,
Yeah. It's finding the right people too.
Yeah.
Finding the right psychic medium because you don't vibe with everybody.
yeah.
So
And I think that's why it's so strongly, for me, I feel like it's so strongly tied in with connecting with the self and understanding the self, because if you don't, then how are we going to help facilitate this journey for others?
Mhm.
Um,
That's a big thing for me. I totally want to highlight that. Like, I say to my clients all the time, I'm really big on hypocrisy. And if I'm going to sit here with you in this space and we're learning, we're teaching, we want to help you learn to do things differently, I want to make sure that I live by that and breathe that myself and make sure that I can back that by my own experiences, or even I'm showing you through who I am and how I am, that you can have a different journey or different behaviors, different learning and a healing, psychological recovery, let's say, on their journey as well.
absolutely.
yeah.
That's so cool. Yay. All right. At the end of every episode, we do some ethos life questions. It can be a one-word answer, or I'm happy to extend it to a little bit more, one sentence. It's hard to be succinct, I know, because we just like to give really meaty answers. But are you ready for question one? I'm scared. What do you wish more people understood about spiritual practices like mediumship and tarot?
It's a natural part of life.
It's a natural part of life. Love that one. Yeah, I agree.
And spirituality is to be experienced.
Oh, I love that. Spirituality is to be experienced. But it's so true. Like, why ignore, why dismiss, why kind of wipe that out,
Yeah.
in our world, right?
Or follow someone else,
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
else's spirituality or their take on it.
Yeah,
To do it
so
for yourself. Yeah,
true.
everyone's different.
Which is really coming back to what we were all saying. It's like the self, having a level
Yes.
of awareness. And honestly, our rule is always like self-compassion, self-love. You have to have that acceptance of you
Yeah.
to have a secure identity,
Yeah,
sense of self. Love it.
absolutely.
That's amazing. All right, question 2. Do you think some spiritual awakenings are actually nervous system responses?
So for me, I think it goes both ways. So nervous system responses can induce awakenings,
Yeah.
and awakenings can change, influence nervous system responses. So I think when it comes to awakenings, the word I know I'm going more than one word
No,
now.
please don't.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here.
Yeah. So I think the word awakenings just holds so much weight
Yeah.
because, it's big and, awakenings are usually like a huge thing, but it can be something small as well. It could be just like a realization or a small awareness you've had that has had a huge impact on how you behave, for example. Like to me, that's also an awakening.
Yeah. I love that one.
Yeah.
Question 3. What's one spiritual tool you can't live without?
The self.
Yeah.
The self.
Okay, I am going to ask more about that one. How would you, when you say the self, how do you describe the self?
It incorporates everything, the soul, the subtle senses, everything. So you don't actually need anything else.
Yeah.
You might enjoy other tools. Like I love tarot, but it comes down to yourself, your connection with your soul,
Yeah.
higher self.
Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the reason why, this conversation was important for me to have, and I wanted to have it with you guys as well. Lots of things in our world come back to that soul journey or finding yourself journey and having a level of love. Again, previous question, but also it's just so that people can have that sense of self, but treat your own self with a level of kindness and compassion. And people will trek the world on a mission trek or something to find that or go on a life journey, but we all tend to come back to that space, so it's super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. That was all I had for my questions. But thank you so much for the conversation and the episode and coming on our show today.
Thank you.
I know, it's so good. If you'd like to access our team of psychologists for professional mental health support, please visit www.ethospsychology.org. Thank you for listening and subscribe to Life in the Psych Lane on your favorite podcast listening platform to better understand psychology today.